Yes. So the last example that we took here was with async code, and we talked about a callback function. What is the role of the callback function? When do we need a callback function? When do we need a callback function? Yes. Or why do we need a callback function?
When we have a return type.
Correct. When the function that you're calling in asynchronously has a return value, the callback function is where you're going to get a return value. Now, just before the break, we saw how the callback function was getting invoked. So after my display function got over, automatically callback got called. And all that I showed you here, let me run it one more time. All that I showed you here was that the callback function was getting called. All right. So that was the last thing that we did before the break. All right. We're going to continue from that point on. Use a callback function. We're doing that with o.begin invoke. And one of the parameters there is the callback method. So here, this is one of the parameters that you're passing on. All right, so let's take this further. Now, as I said earlier, the main reason for writing a callback function is to get the return value. Now, let's see how we can get the return value. Okay. To begin with, the begin invoke returns an async result. Begin invoke returns an async result. So look at what the function returning an async result. So on my left hand side, I'm going to be actually doing something like this: async result, whatever, AR is equal to o.begin invoke. And this async result, you can think of it like, a pointer to the function. This is what you're getting out here. It's like, giving you details about the function. So the function that you're calling here, this async result is holding properties which gives you features of this function that you're calling with begin invoke. And we are going to need this async result. In a short while, we're going to need this. And this async result you'll find is also passed to callback function. So the same async result that you're getting here is actually being passed to the callback function. And as I said, what does it contain? It contains details about the method that you're calling in an async manner. And this is going to help us get the return value and get few other things as well. So how do I get the return value? If I'm calling a function with o.begin invoke, how do I get the return value? To get the return value, what you would be doing is something like this: string retval return value. All right. And retval is equal to o.end invoke. O.end invoke. The o.end invoke, look at what it's returning. It's returning a string because my function returns a string. So this end invoke is going to be used to get the return value. And end invoke requires that async result that we just talked about some time back. It requires that as a parameter. So this is what we're going to be using out here. And then, of course, what can we do with this? We can do a console.writeLine, right? So these lines of code is what I want to do to get the return value. But I can't be doing that here. Agree? I can't be writing down these lines of code here. Why can't I be writing down these lines of code here? Why not here?
This is being executed by main thread after line number 90.
Correct. So this, again, the same problem that we talked about. You can't be doing this in the main thread. This code needs to be done in where? In where? Where do we need to do this? Come on.
Callback function.
In the callback function. So I'm going to move the code from there and try writing this code in the callback function. But the moment I try doing this, it gives me an error on O. Why is O giving me an error? Why is O giving me an error? Why is O not working now? You look at line number 105. It says O dot end in O. Saying I can't find O. Why not?
Out of scope.
Correct. Because O has been defined in where? In the main function. So I've given you the code. I've given you the code that you need to do. The only thing that you need to do, only thing that you need to help me, in fact, to do, is tell me how this variable O can be also accessible here. That is one way of getting it to work. If you can access O out here, then you're sorted. Then you don't need to do anything else. So any suggestions on how that O on top, how this O on top is also available here, based on
By
what you
utilizing
already
that
know.
last null space.
Sorry.
That last null by replacing last null by object.
Okay, that's one way. Good possibility. Do you know the answer? You're guessing the answer.
Guessing the answer.
So that's a very good guess. That's a superb guess. Well done. Who's that? Ganesh answered.
Yes, Ganesh Wagmare.
Ganesh, is there anybody else close to you out here in your room right now where you are in the house?
No, sir, I am alone.
You are alone. Okay, so whenever somebody comes home, tell them to pat you on the back.
Yes, sir, sure, sir.
Okay. Any other suggestions? That is one suggestion that Ganesh has given us.
Writing line number 90 at the class level and making it static.
Correct. Who's that? Is that
Rahul,
Pratik or
Rahul?
Rahul? Okay, Rahul is given another option. He's saying, okay, just move it to the class level. Instead of having it defined within a function, move it to the class level. Also will work. Correct. So moment it's class level, it will work at both places. Any other suggestions? I got two correct suggestions. You all are in good form today. Huh? You're in good form today. I think I should have an extra session every day. You're in good form, good answers.
So can we write this? I mean, using this keyword.
But it is not this, no? This will be at the class level variable. So this
No,
is
in the callback function, can we use this?
No, you can't use this. Firstly, it's static, so this also will not work.
Sorry, correct. Sorry.
All right. Any other way? I've got two correct solutions, which is very good so far. Any other way?
Something like arrow function in JavaScript.
Something like
arrow functions. We use it in JavaScript.
Arrow function. Somebody will throw stones at you if you bring in those C pointers out here. Are you bringing in pointers out here? People, all 250 people who are attending this session will throw something at you. I just said there's no pointers in .NET. We don't need pointers in .NET. If you're going to use arrow functions, then no pointers. No, why? Yes. Any other? Based on answers, you already know the answer. When I tell you the answer, you say, that. Okay. So what else? Come on.
Lambda expression.
Sorry?
Lambda expression.
Anonymous?
Anonymous methods. Anonymous functions. Sorry.
Okay. Who's answering this again? Again, Rahul, is it?
Yes.
Perfect. Very well done. Superb. So what do you want to do? A variable declared in the outer code you want to access in the function. So you can do it in two ways. Either make the function as a local function. Either make it local or use the anonymous method. Superb. Very nice answer. Are we getting this? So we got different options available here. Let's see 3-4 of them. There are other options also. I don't want to get into too many. We'll see 3-4 different ways of doing this. We'll take the first way for this, that let's try moving this onto the top. Right? Let's try moving this onto the top. So if I move this to the top, right, and I want to access it from a static function, I need to also make this as static. And okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm declaring it on top, allocating it here. The moment you declare it on top, it is now also available in the callback function. Right? So the problem that was existing has been sorted. So this should work. And let me just put in a little more. All right, this is what I'm getting. Okay. So let's try writing this code. Let's see how this would work. To get the return value, what are we doing? We are calling o.endInvoke. And the problem that you all solved for me right now is how can you make O accessible? One possibility is put it at the class level. Let's run this. And we are looking for that return value now. Return value is being returned. I was passing hello. And then it was returning it as a capital hello. Are we clear on this, everybody? So we got what we wanted. That's the first way. This is functional, no problem. Great. Okay, let me just all right. This is what we have done. This is what we have done to read the value out here. And then how are we actually calling it? How do we get the actual value? O.endInvoke with AR returns the value. Right? This is what we are getting out. Let's try out the other method. Let's try out the other method. So this worked. Let's try using an anonymous method. Let's try using an anonymous method here. Let's try using an anonymous method. So if, for example, if this is a code and this is not working code currently not working, to make it work, what do? All that you need to do is you want to access O. So instead of writing a callback function like this, make it an anonymous method or a local function. So let me do it with the anonymous method. How do you make it this anonymous now? Simple way I've shown you. What do you do to make this anonymous? Yes. If you already got the function, what would you do? Yes. Copy. And instead of the function name, paste and replace that word with the word delegate. And that's it. That's your anonymous method. The moment you make it anonymous, the variable that you declared on top in the main function is also available to the anonymous method. So well done. Rahul gave that answer, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well done. Very well done. Good usage of concepts that you've learned. Are we clear on this? Let's try running this code. And what do we want here? We want, what is the error? I think the problem might be there might be multiple mains. No, what is the problem? Achha, this callback function. I have to remove this. This function can be removed, right? I don't need this callback function. I made this a anonymous method, so I don't need that here. I've actually copy pasted that code here. Okay, so let's run this, and same effect as before, after. 3 seconds later, the display called, callback function called, and then you got the return. So this also is there. Okay, help me with my thing. So what am I using here? Instead of callback function, what are we using out here? We're saying make the callback function as an anonymous method to access delegate object declared in main. So that's what we've done out here. And then of course, to call that method, the same thing. O.end invoke returns the value. That has not changed. All right. So this worked. Main 4, main 5. This worked. Okay, I'll go back to the suggestion which said that, you know what, we have not been using this null out here. So maybe this is the right way of doing it. And he didn't know the code, but he's taken a very good guess on this. So let's see how we could use this, right? So now when you pass something here, this last parameter object, you can use it to pass any value. So for example, I can use it to pass a string if I want. Right? Whatever I'd like to pass, I can pass out here. I'm passing an extra info string out. Okay. Now, whatever I've passed out here as, in this case, I'm passing a string, extra info, is available here, down in here in this callback function as ar.async state. So ar.async state is giving you what you have passed in this fourth parameter. All right. So ar.async state. So see what I'm doing out here. I'm saying string extra or last parameter, whatever you want to call it, is equal to ar.async state. Right? The only problem is ar.async state is an object and you're getting a string out here. So you need to do a toString on this. Console.writeLine last parameter. Okay. What is this going to show me right now? What is this going to show? It's not going to give me the return value. It's going to give me that extra info that I've passed out here. So whatever I pass here can be received here. How am I getting the value here? As ar.async state. And let's try running this again. So you get before, after. You got the display. You got the callback function. And what did we also get out here? That extra info that we had passed out there. Now, what can you pass in extra info? What can you pass out here effectively? You can pass any other data that you want to pass. Instead of passing a string, could I pass an integer? Could I pass an integer out here? Yes. Could I pass an integer? Yes. Yes, no, what? Could I pass a number? Could I pass a Boolean value? What can I pass out?
Yes, sir.
Anything I can pass? Can I pass
Yes.
an object of some class? Can I pass an object of some class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So can I pass this O itself? Can I pass this O itself as extra information?
Yes, sir.
And if I pass it as O out there, instead of doing it this way, This was if you're using a string. Instead of using in this way, what is O of type? O is of type func string string O. So help me with this code. Func string string O is equal to AR dot async state. Right? Again, the problem is what? Left hand side is func string string, but AR dot async state is an object. So you need to typecast it. Once you typecast it, once you get this, once you got this, then the rest, as they say, is history. How did you get the return value once you got O? Once you got O, how did you get the return value? You had a problem finding O. Once you had O, the remaining code is exactly the same. O dot end in loop. All right. And that's how you got the return value. So this is what we have done different. Passed it as that last parameter. Clear on this, everybody? Let's try running this again. Same output. Okay. What have we done different here? Pass O as the last parameter in O dot begin invoke. Last parameter here is O, and receive in callback function as AR dot async state. That's what you're getting in out here. Are we clear on this? This is how you could actually get it to work. Perfect. Very nice.
Sir, what if we have to pass more than one parameters?
Then you can create maybe an array list and pass the values, put the values into an array list and pass those values, because you're passing only one array list, and then receive the values down there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So we're finished doing this. So these are the different suggestions that came from you, and I'm very happy. You'll give me very nice suggestions. Right? I helped you with the code, but the concept or the thinking was yours. So I like that a lot. Let me therefore give you one way of mine. These are things that came from you. These are things that came from you. Let me give you my one way. All right. So see what I'm doing out here. It's, what, 7 is it? I lost track. Okay. There is a existing class called as async result. All right. There's a class called as async result. Now this class is not shown to you because you're missing a using directive. So let me show you where this is. This class is actually present in this namespace. System.runtime.remoting.messaging. Right. So this is a class called async result. Right. This class implements I async result. Okay. So async result is the class which implements I async result. So let's call this async result obj AR is equal to AR. Is equal to AR. And then I need to, of course, typecast this as async result. Right? Now this gives me some additional information which async result didn't give me. And see what I'm doing out here. OBJ_AR dot. One of the properties there is async delegate. One of the properties there is async delegate. And what does this async delegate return? Any guesses? Async delegate. What do you think this would return? Come on. Answer is in the question itself. What do you think async delegate will return?
Object.
That O, the O was pointing to some object. So this will also give you a reference to that object that O was pointing to. So we wanted O. That's what you're getting out here. But you're getting it here as what? As async delegate. So what I'm going to do here is this. O is equal to OBJ_AR dot async delegate. Problem is that async delegate is of type object and this is of a specific type. So you need to again do a typecast. We got O. We got O. Once you have O, the rest is history. Right? Boom. Same thing. So I didn't need to do anything else. I can do it this way also. All right, let's try calling this. End result is the same, giving you exactly the same code. Right? Before, after, and then 3 seconds later, your display, then the callback function, and then the return value that you had out. All right, so I can actually show you a couple of methods more, but I don't know. What I wanted to show you, I have shown. Other methods are there, but those are just variations and you can do without them. But essentially, this is what we are using to access O from there. Let me put into words. How did we access O out here? Use async result dot async delegate to get a reference to O in the callback function. Once you have that, and then you can get the remaining things out here. Okay. So that's what I wanted to complete with you. And that's what I have completed with you. Questions, if any? Okay. So I'm going to end the session here with a note to you all saying that this pattern of begin invoke and end invoke is also used in later code. So you will be calling a method with begin invoke, you'll be getting a return value with end invoke, and whatever ways of passing parameters, all of that will be used later as well. So if you learn this pattern right now, it becomes easier to understand the later complex code. This is simple. But when you apply this concept into another place, and there you are expected to know how begin invoke works, how end invoke works, it will help you if you know this code well. So do try it out well. We are now into week 2. Expect things to be different. You will not get similar, simpler code that you have been used to in week 1. Things are going to be a little tougher. Newer concepts, newer syntaxes, but I'm sure with the performance that you'll have, you're going to crack this as well. All right. So we stop here. You all don't leave out. Nisha ma'am